technology and revenue management, but forgive me because I'm taking a bit of a tangent away from the traditional revenue management system. And I want to talk about the way that revenue managers in their role can use technology that we all use in hotels today, and can sort of exert their influence on that in order to improve results. And I really want to focus on direct bookings. So, and also touching on improving the guest experience. So what are the guests looking for? All right, so when does the guest talk to the revenue manager, right? How is the revenue manager going to improve the guest experience? Okay, we don't, right? We don't really talk to the guests unless they're really angry. I don't know how often we talk with the guests, but it's not a fundamental part of the work that we're doing. But at the same time, we do communicate with the customer. Okay, so essentially we have the pricing and the products that we're putting out there for the customer to purchase, and then how they're presented to the customers. And this is where I see that we can really exert control in converting the lookers into bookers. And I thought there was a great stat in the last presentation that 40% of customers that leave your web page book on another page, and the number one reason why they're leaving is to look at other reviews. So we need to keep those people on our websites and make them actually convert. And yesterday in I think it was the second keynote session, the representative from Kayak said that she sees in 5 years what's going to happen is single-click booking. Okay? Do you think that the woman from Kayak thinks that single-click is going to happen on your hotel's website? I don't think so. I think it's going to happen on the OTAs. So I've got a video or a couple of videos that I'd like to show to sort of illustrate that. Do you guys want to get those queued up? Well, this is really about removing barriers to purchase. So there's two examples, one hotel, one's not. Okay, we need that in Singapore, if anyone can make that happen. But can you just go to the next video as well? So you guys may have seen this one. This was a pretty popular commercial for Hotels.com. Oh, no sound. He's booking a hotel in Free Fall. All right, so that essentially just showed, oh, I guess it's cut off, but it's okay. Essentially, the skydiver was able to book a hotel on Hotels.com from the time he jumped out of the plane until the point he landed on the beach. Can your booking website accomplish this? Yes? All right, so really thinking about removing these barriers in the booking process. If you've already gotten them on your website, let's not lose them, right? Let's keep them engaged and convert them. So some subtle things that we can do to sort of increase conversion on the revenue management. Sorry, just going through some of these. All right, so the right product. So there's a great TED Talk by Sheena Iyengar, who's a professor at Columbia, and I'm going to talk about some behavioral economics things. So she talks about something called the paradox of choice, and her TED Talk is fantastic. It's called she's got two. It's called Making Choosing Easier. I'd highly recommend it for you guys. But essentially, she did this experiment when she went to a grocery store and she had like 26 flavors of jam, and asked people to taste them and what would they actually like to buy. The results were that when she was comparing like 26 flavors versus I think 4 flavors, the so much stronger when she only had 4. Okay, so I think customers were 6 times more likely to actually make a purchase when there were 1/3 of the choices. Okay, so people don't always want to see every option available to them. All right, so we essentially have something called, or she calls, the choice overload problem. So ultimately, there's anxiety around making the decision, so conversion goes down. And then after they've made the choice, they feel like, oh, maybe I should have chosen the strawberry jam instead of the apricot jam. So they question the decision because they had so many options, they got a bit, flustered and confused. So she has some recommendations about how you can essentially overcome this paradox of choice. And I'm going to talk about her recommendations applied to a hotel setting. So the first one is cut. So essentially reduce the number of choices available to your customers. All right, so this is just a screenshot of, sorry, I got really excited, of a booking screen and all the potential room types available for this customer. So there's quite a few options that can be limited here, but what do we have? I think 9 or 10 different room rates available. And how many packages do you have available? So this is something that actually a revenue manager is in control over, that we can help bring the customers more quickly through the booking path. Another option, or another thing that she recommends, is concretization. So make guests understand exactly what they're purchasing. So if we go back to the previous example, what's the difference between a deluxe room and a deluxe garden bungalow? Does that mean anything to you? Maybe if there was videos, maybe if there's pictures, rich content. We always talk about how many square meters our rooms are. Does that mean anything to a guest? Can you bring to mind exactly what that looks like? Maybe you can because you're in the industry, but can a guest? Not necessarily. So let's make things really concrete and easy to understand. Another interesting thing is I love the rooms or the name Superior, because sometimes the superior room is the base room type. Well, it's not superior to anything, okay? So when we're talking about sort of establishing integrity is something else she talks about with this sort of making things concrete. Let's be honest in what we're actually selling. Is that package actually of value to you? Are you just using words because you've been using them for the last 15 years? It's not because they accurately describe what the guest is looking for. So think about those sorts of things. This obviously ties in with your e-commerce group as well. It's not just revenue management, but work with them in order to accomplish these things. Categorization. So essentially, Professor Iyengar said that if you have more than 10 options, you're just going to freeze. Anything beyond that, so you want to group things into categories. So if we go back to those room types, you can filter, you can use technology to say, okay, are you interested in a beach experience or a garden, or a beach experience, or maybe a family experience? And then that could automatically change the types of rooms that you're presenting to your customers. So how can you leverage these sorts of tools in order to do that? And then conditioning for complexity. So essentially the recommendation is to start the decisions small, grow into bigger ones. So you don't want to immediately at the point of booking, throw 15 different package options to the guest. If you have a lot of options, maybe start with a few things. What's your purpose of travel? And then that could filter so that they don't have to make a lot of decisions up front. It's more progressive. We already face a significant challenge with this, because if I'm deciding that I want to go on vacation, what do I do? All right, what city do I want to go to, or what destination do I want to go to? All right, let me Google. Airlines. This is going to take forever to figure out what flight I want. Am I going to book it on a Am I going to book it on a mobile app? Am I going to use my loyalty points? There's so many decisions before the to our website that they're already a bit atrophied and tired. So we want to make it as easy as possible to move them through. All right, so next, just a couple points on price, and just keeping this really brief. So let's say that we're going to Hong Kong and we want to book a hotel. Which of these, this is just, little behavioral economic stuff. Can anyone gander a guess at which of these, based on a study from, Journal of Consumer Psychology, which one is the most attractive price? Anyone? There's a lot of prices right there. There's a lot of options for what you can actually display. Puneet, do you have a guess?
I don't like any.
Okay, so the most effective is the 1699, bare bones, nothing, no commas, no decimals, no dollar sign. Okay, so this is something you as a revenue manager can tell your e-commerce group, let's go change this enterprise-wide today, right? It's simple, but you can get this sort of thing, changed. If your technology, your booking engine supports it, which hopefully it does. Another thing on this with price endings, and actually that's from Stanford, should it be a 9 or a 0 or a 3 or whatever? There's debate between 9s and 7s. So you guys take your pick. When I was working in Vegas, we went with 7s because it was lucky number 7. So. And then another interesting study is, closeness of price. So there's a study from Yale where there's 2 similar products and they were on sale for the same price. Okay, so the actual study was done with So just imagine you've got 2 packages that are essentially interchangeable, or maybe 2 room types that are essentially interchangeable, and they're for sale for the same price. Okay. And then in this study, there was a change of 1 cent up and down on these 2 different similar types of candy. So here's the difference in conversion. When the 2 types of candy were sold for the same price, the conversion rate was 43%. When they were sold for 1 penny less and 1 penny more, the conversion rate was 77%. Okay? So that's a massive difference in conversion for a 1 penny change. Why? Because people get anxiety around decisions, okay? And there is this sort of paradox of choice. So help make the choosing easier for them with tactics and strategies like this. So really, what can you do next, or what would I recommend? So investigate some of this behavioral economic stuff coming up more and more in the press. If you guys are interested in this, you may have read Dan Ariely's book, Predictably Irrational. It's quite good. But another thing is he has a free Coursera course that's actually on right now that really delves into some of these items, and it's really fantastic. And then revenue management really needs to push for a seat at the table with technology investments. So I'm talking about technology for the booking process, right? And also on mobile. We need to be able to influence how these decisions are made. So if your company is looking to change, upgrade or purchase these sorts of systems, revenue management absolutely absolutely needs a seat at the table. And I think the most important thing is that the OTAs are investing in this. How much do you think the OTAs are putting into the process of taking their lookers and turning them into bookers? Not to mention the Google AdWord buying and getting them onto their site, right? So we need to compete not just on acquiring the customers, but also on converting them. So the more that you as a revenue manager can do to influence that, the better. So it's not too much of a tangent, but that's what I wanted to share.